is the uncertainty in the world. It's just created a perfect storm for gold and silver to run up.
I'll be sitting somewhere in Caribbean on my private yacht surrounded by beautiful women.
People are probably digging holes in the garden.
Controversial question. Can I ask you which one?
No.
Russians would buy Barbie coins. Time to reveal year of the horse design. Win a 1 ounce year of the horse lunar coin from the Perth Mint. Well, guys, welcome to our next podcast series. I'm Andre. You're watching the Coin Company YouTube channel, and we have a very special guest today. My really good friend, my ex-boss, my mentor to some extent, or to actually a really big extent, Mr. Neil Vance from the Perth Mint. In my opinion, the most experienced person in Australia when it comes to minted product. He has been in this industry for long enough to know everything, everyone. So yeah, welcome, Neil. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Andre.
No problem at all. And look, my first question to you will be, how did you start in this industry? It's been 23 years, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it'll be 23 years in January next year.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story. I was actually in the food industry, the fast-moving consumable goods with a couple of multinational companies, and I was in that for a good 10 years. And looked for a change and found this job. It said selling gold from Perth. Didn't mention the company. I thought, I wonder what that would be. And came for the interview, and it turned out to be the Perth Mint. And I was lucky enough to secure the job, and here we are 22 plus years later. Interesting.
And how was your first day at the Mint? What went through your mind? You know, like you said, you were not expecting this to be the Mint. You just thought it's going to be selling gold. When you turn up first day and you saw the whole operation there, what went through your mind?
It was a really interesting experience because I guess I'd been in an industry for 10 years where I felt I knew everything, and then walked into this brand new industry and really realised I was starting at ground zero again. Very different industry to walk into, a lot to learn. Takes a while to learn it. We always joke that you have a light bulb moment generally at about 3 months, and then 6 months you're really up and running. So it is very different. And it was a bit of a struggle at first, but then when you hit that ground running, when you get that 3 month point, and you start getting the enjoyment because you're understanding it, that enjoyment's never gone away.
Awesome. Well, that was my next question to you. 22, almost 23 years. That's a long time. What keeps you motivated? What keeps you excited? What keeps you getting to work every day and creating, those beautiful coins?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great industry to be in. For a start, I don't think every day is a different day for me. Yeah. We're working on different projects. So every year's different with our projects we're working on. So you get to work with a great team at a really great company. The Perth Mint's just got an amazing history that I feel a bit of a part of now. And we're developing coins every day basically for this great coin collecting community and also the investing community for the Bullion side.
Awesome. What has changed at the Perth Mint? Like, to put it in the perspective, 23 years ago, that would be 2002, right?
January 2003.
January 2003. Okay, so that was before things like Facebook turned up, Instagram, YouTube, like a fairly different world at that time. In terms of the Mint, which has a history of 125 years?
126, yeah.
126 years. Obviously, it's a little bit more, I guess, stable place to be where in terms of changes and everything. But still, obviously, in 23 years, there should have been some changes. What is the biggest change, and what, in your opinion, has changed at the Mint in the last 23 years?
Yeah, there's been a lot of change. I think two of the biggest changes I've seen, the first would be how the marketing of the coins has changed. So when I started, we were very much a catalogue company, sending out a catalogue once a quarter, and it was all about the mailing list. And then we built a website, and I always remember, I think it was around the year maybe 2009, 2010, where the website sales overtook the catalogue sales. And that was kind of a bit of a, eureka moment, so to speak. So that's been a real change, and now obviously it's very much skewed to the website. We still do the catalogue, but the website would be the main tool for selling to the collecting and investing community. But the other thing that's changed is, I guess, the size of the company. You know, when I started, very much a mint, and we had a joint venture in the refinery. And then over time, we took full control of the refinery. And now it's just this really large, fully integrated precious metals business. We've got the depository, we've got the refinery at the airport, we've got the mint in the city. We're a tourist attraction. You know, this year we're going to hit about 120,000 visitors, which is a record for us. You know, it's a really dynamic business, and I think that's been the big change. The amount of employees has grown as well to grow with the size of the business.
Oh, that's fantastic. I actually didn't realize that you have so many people coming through the doors just for the shop. And I think a lot of people don't realize about Perth Mint how big it is. You know, for majority, even Western Australians, Perth Mint is the place where you come as a kid for the school tour. You know, you buy a random piece of gold or silver, but I don't think a lot of people realize how diversified and how big the Perth Mint is.
No, that's true, and it's a story, you know, we always try and tell. I don't think a lot of people realise we're ranking probably third in exports from Western Australia, so that really puts us up there as quite a large company, and people probably wouldn't expect that. They'd expect the iron ore companies to be up there, and they are, but we're sitting there probably in third or fourth spot most years.
Well, that's great. I mean, considering that it's a place right in the middle of the city, you know, a beautiful, beautiful building. And for those of you guys who haven't been there, if you're ever in Perth, if you're watching us from outside of Perth, make sure that it will be on your wish list. You know, make sure it's a must-do sightseeing in Perth. It's a beautiful building, and it's really, really, really good excursion there as well. The guys who do tours, they are fantastic. Well, while we're on the topic of what has changed in the last 23 years, let's talk about gold and silver price.
Sure.
So it obviously has changed quite a bit in the last 23 years, but even in the last probably 6 to 12 months, we have seen a massive surge in price for both gold and silver. In your opinion, person who is inside of this industry, person who deals with this stuff on a daily basis, what's driving those price movements? Why it's been literally a non-stop growth for the last year or so?
Yeah, look, it's been an interesting one. I mean, Andre, when I came into the business, gold was sitting at about $300. Silver was about $5. You know.
Sorry, did you buy any?
No, I
sort of.
You know, we're looking at silver today. It's nearly hitting $60 Australian. You know, gold's over $5,000 Australian. You know, it's at levels probably I didn't expect to see almost. And look, it's been on a real bull run for the last 18 months. And certainly what's causing that is the uncertainty in the world. So, you know, you've got the war in Ukraine, you have war in the Middle East. Then you have the tariff situation, which has created a lot of uncertainty with global markets around the world, which has also added to it. So I think that's just created a perfect storm for gold and silver, precious metals to run up. Where it goes next, that's probably the crystal ball moment. We expect there's probably still a bit of room for it to move up, and we'll be watching it closely.
It's interesting what you just mentioned about the crystal ball. I had one of my clients, and every time when I ask him, you probably actually know him, the Middle East, Ravi from Pump. Yeah. So every time when I ask him, so Ravi, what are you know, you've been in the bullion industry for God knows how long. What do you reckon? Where are we going? Where are we going with the prices? And every time he would tell me, look, Andre, if I knew where the gold and silver would go, I wouldn't be sitting here next to you. I would be sitting somewhere in Caribbean on my private yacht, surrounded by beautiful women. So no, but that's fair. That's fair. Look, but in saying that, it's obviously all those price spikes and price rise affects Perth Mint. To what extent does it affect you guys in terms of operation and the way you plan your product line? Because, like you've mentioned, 1 ounce of silver, $60 Australian, 1 ounce of gold, 5,200, I think from memory, 5,200 Australian at the moment. So doing collectible coins, that all of a sudden becomes silver product become like 150, 160, 170 plus product, and 1 ounce gold coin becomes $7,000-8,000. We're talking about numismatic, obviously here.
Yeah.
So how does it affect you guys? How does it affect your product planning? I know obviously that you guys plan well ahead. Do you review those prices on some sort of regular basis? If you can tell us a little bit more about that, that would be great.
Yeah, speaking on the numismatic collector side only here, actually yesterday we were reviewing the pricing for the new Lunar Year of the Horse coming out in September. And last year we launched the 1 ounce gold at $5,000, which was an increase on the previous year. But, this year we know it's going up again. We're reviewing our pricing probably every month at the moment because metal is moving up so quickly. Mm-hmm. And the 1 ounce coin, which has been the classic piece for so long, that's probably the one that's most affected, where you really see this dramatic price increase. But you consider that a lot of that is in the actual piece of gold you're buying. That's where the value is. That used to be, as I said, when I started, it was 300 Australian dollars. Now it's over $5,000. So there's a huge change in what's happened there. And we've seen that price run up over many years. Silver's a little bit easier to absorb in some ways. Yes, we're seeing prices. I remember, Andre, when we broke through the $100 barrier and we all thought, oh boy, what's going to happen here? Then we hit 150 and now we are up, 150 to 170 odd dollars. But I think it's a bit more flexible down at that price point as opposed to the gold. In terms of what we're looking at, I think there could be a trend towards fractional gold, for example. We could be seeing half-ounce silver making a stronger comeback over time as well. So we'll be looking at that very closely as we move forward. We've got the flexibility we always generally have a 1/4 ounce gold, and we're certainly looking to move a couple of programs next year into half-ounce silver.
And just while we're on silver, I've seen that you obviously tried with a couple of products making a 1/4 ounce silver product. Do you see that doing well anytime in the future, or was it just one-off and it didn't really do well?
Yeah, no, I think a 1/4 ounce silver could come into play. To me, that's potentially what you use to get new collectors into the market. We started doing that just before COVID, and then of course COVID hit, and we just got so busy. Those sort of planning projects we just had to put on hold while we focused on just supplying the market with bullion coins and just trying to maintain a numismatic program. But those sorts of items are certainly back on the agenda within our product development team, and we'll be looking at those going forward as well.
Interesting. That will be quite interesting to see the development of the numismatic, the difference this price will make in the numismatic world, and actually how collectors going to, react to that. The current demand, because Perth Mint obviously does both bullion and numismatic. With the current high prices, I would presume a lot of people would, especially investors, would cash in on the high pricing for both gold and silver. But in terms of sales, where do you see the biggest demand coming, say, in the last 12 months? Is it more numismatic orientated, or is it more bullion?
Yeah, we probably look at both segments quite differently. But what we did notice at the end of last year, which ended June 30th there, just gone, was certainly our numismatic sales were well up on budget. Okay, so we had a really good year on numismatic coins. Our bullion coins were down on budget. It wasn't a complete surprise to us. We knew there was always going to be a trigger point where the investor bullion coins, people were going to start selling back. And we felt $3,000. I'm talking US dollars here. Yep. And, if it gets to 3.5, which it's gotten close to a couple of times, we think that will be another trigger point for selling. Now, the markets also differ around the world. So, for example, the Australian market held up quite well with the bullion coins. The US market has really flattened out. It's been terrible. But we saw that during President Trump's last presidency. And so, again, we expected that this time around, where those investors don't feel the need to buy precious metals when he's the president. What we have seen, although, in the Australian market, as well as the buybacks here, they just haven't been enough to feed the market, so the market's still looking for new coins coming through from the mint. So that's been a real positive in the Australian market. And look, quite frankly, buybacks is not bad for the mint in terms of the Australian market, because we take buybacks through the Perth Mint shop or at the refinery. So, that's still a good business for us as well.
And you're clearing the market, I guess, to some extent from...
Yeah, to some extent, that's right.
No, that's good. And look, again, both of us have been in the industry long enough to know that, we're still in Bullion, sorry. Been long enough to know that Bullion goes in cycles. It goes up and down. And Bullion, like you've mentioned, especially in Europe and US, for different reasons, but in Europe and US, has been on a downturn for quite a while now, probably, I would say, 24 months.
Yeah, that's right.
What's your, again, crystal ball prediction? How long do you think that will continue? And because, again, I will rephrase. First of all, would you agree with me that it will come back sooner or later? And my second question would be, how long do you think it will continue the downturn, and when the bullion market in those parts of the world would start recovering or showing signs of recovery?
Yeah, look, the market's definitely cyclical, so it will come back. The hardest thing is to predict when it will come back. I think in the US, we're probably in for a little bit of pain, as well as expecting a down market there with the investors not looking for precious metals while President Trump's in. We've also got tariffs there affecting the bars. So that's going to hurt the foreign mints dealing in the USA. Europe's an interesting one because, yes, it came off the pace 24 months ago, but that's also when a silver tax was introduced. So that greatly affected what was once a really great bullion market in Germany in particular. Gold's actually held up reasonably. We're in the Northern Hemisphere summer at the moment, which always quietens off, and we're seeing that at the moment. Look, I certainly expect the next 6 months to be a little bit quiet in those two markets on the bullion side. Into next year, that's probably the crystal ball moment. I'm not sure. After the silver boom in 15-16, we sold an enormous amount of metal in a 9-month period, probably the biggest sustained silver boom since the global financial crisis in 08-09. There was definitely about a 2 to 3 year downturn after that. So I think we're at 24 months into a downturn post-COVID.
Yep.
So we know it will come back, and we've got the business to hang in there and be able to deal with that.
That's good. Now, while we're on the still topic of bullion, the other question I guess I would like to discuss is the fact that bullion market always been, I guess, an older generation market. So when I'm saying older generation, I mean baby boomers and Generation Y. That's why people, I guess, invest into gold or silver more willingly. Where the younger generation, we're talking like Generation X or millennials, they more into crypto or, I don't know, some collector cars or something like that. And generally, they don't really invest that hard into silver or gold. In your opinion, well, A, question number one, is it changing now? And B, if it's not changing, do you think it will change in the future? And third question is, those Generation X and millennials who invest, do they invest differently from the older generation, or it's more or less the same, I guess, investment patterns for them?
Okay, so I believe gold and silver is becoming a lot more mainstream than it used to be. So we're making it easier to buy gold and silver. And there's no doubt we're attracting the younger demographics in, particularly on silver. So that's the easier buy-in because of the price point. And we are seeing the interest from the younger generation. Now, there's no doubt crypto and digital currencies are going to be a big one for them. But we still believe we've got a part to play in that. We've just got to make it easy for them to be able to purchase from us. We've got to educate them that the mint, that bullion distributors in Australia, our authorised distributors, are out there, and they can go and buy gold, silver or platinum and feel confident in buying that, storing it, or perhaps buying it digitally. So, that's what we have to do, make sure we're providing the way they want to purchase the metal, and I think they'll come and buy, and we're seeing that.
And so my last question was, are their purchasing patterns different to the older generation? Do they prefer digital? Do they prefer like an online account rather than physically coming or physically ordering a physical piece of gold or silver?
There's still a bit of both. Some people just like to get their hands on the metal. They just want to keep it in their houses, store it. We still know people are probably digging holes in the garden, all that sort of thing. It's pretty crazy, but I think it happens. But there's no doubt we have to be prepared for the younger generation to maybe look at things differently, and that's probably digitally. And, we're looking at all those things. But certainly, we have depository online that can deal with that. You can order online if you want to take physical delivery. So we certainly try to make sure we're covering off on their needs, and we're still looking at what else we can do around that area.
Fantastic. No, look, that's great to hear that the younger generation are jumping on the bandwagon, I guess, and that you guys, obviously, because being one of the two major mints in Australia, and in my opinion, much more commercially orientated than the second Australian mint. I think it's great that you guys realise that, and that you are taking steps towards, attracting younger generation into the precious metal business.
Yeah, look, one of the things we always want to do at the Perth Mint is promote coins and promote precious metals. So, whether it be collectors, whether it be investor, we just want to be promoting that. We want our authorised distributors to be promoting that. We want the industry to be promoting that. We want to be part of a healthy industry, and I think it is healthy, and we want it to continue.
Great. Well, talking about promoting, there is obviously a big reveal coming up during this podcast. You guys just about to see a new design for the 2026 Year of the Horse Lunar 3 series. So my first question to you, Neil, what is so special about this particular design? Why do you think people should collect it or should purchase it as an investment piece?
Yeah, I think the horse is one of the more popular years. I think everyone loves the horse. It's just a really strong animal, very free-flowing when it's running, when it's rearing up. We've got a couple of wonderful designs that really showcase that, and I think people are really going to love these designs.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think probably dragon would be number one. Tiger probably number two.
Yep.
And then horse probably the third most popular design, you would say?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, so that's very exciting. Very exciting year to see the Bullion products and numismatic products of this Lunar series. Now, this is Lunar Series 3.
Correct.
So if my math is correct, there has been 24 different lunar coins from the first two Lunar series, and this is coin number 6?
Correct.
6. Mm-hmm. So there is only certain ways you can portray those animals on the coin. How does Perth Mint manages to come up with the new design for a new animal for the third Lunar series? That's question number one, to make it different to the previous ones. And question number two, how deeply do you guys go into research of, cultural insights for this series?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, if you think about it, the Perth Mint started the Lunar Series in 1996. So the gold started 96, the silver started 99. I mean, I came on board 2002. We were releasing the GOAT in 2003, and that was still Series 1. And then, we got into Series 2, and we thought we have to really change the look of these designs. What was interesting was Series 3. We approached it at the start, and we actually got one of our designers, Ying Jong, to actually set up how the whole program was going to be looked at over 12 years. So we got a style guide for the very first coin, and we would continue that style guide through the whole 12. We were able to launch the first coin with packaging that had the story and the designs on the packaging that would then take into the coins as we move forward. We still designed the coins individually each year moving forward, but there was this style guide there. And we've had different designers do each coin. So Ing didn't do every design. She has done the horse. But last year, Sean did the Year of the Snake. So they're certainly all, and they approach it different ways. Certainly Ing looks at a lot of different photography of horses, really wants to explore how the horses move, how its muscles ripple, all those sorts of things to produce that on a coin and really get those designs elements there, you know, the flowing mane, all those sorts of things. So a lot of work goes into these designs. It's interesting, we probably see about 5 or 6 designs. We probably whittle that down to a couple of designs. We take them to the next level, really get to finish, and then select one and move forward with it. And I think these 2 designs we've got this year are absolutely wonderful. I think collectors and investors will love them.
Fantastic. And while we're still on the design and the topic of choosing the design, can you share some insights with us and with our viewers and listeners? Does it, like, how tension does it become when you're choosing the design? Because I know there's quite a few people involved into the process of choosing the designs, obviously including designers. And yeah, can you share if there is any tension happening? Has it, you know, is it an argument, or everyone comes and sees the designs and everyone chooses, yeah, that's the one I want to go, and everyone agrees? Can you talk a little bit more, like sort of behind the scene of how that happens? Yeah,
so we've got a product development team at the Perth Mint, and we're looking at all the designs. We're coming up with the projects, giving a project brief to the designer, and then the designer's coming back with the designs. And look, there's always going to be a bit of tension here or there. As a team, we work pretty well together. You know, we're all about trying to creatively give feedback in the right way. And I think we all work pretty well in that way. You know, you imagine you're a designer and you've put a lot of work into a design and you think that's just the design that nails it. And then people say, no, it's not quite there, and you'd have to change it. That can be a little bit upsetting at times, but we always approach it in the right way. It's always about trying to get the best program for our collectors, for our investors. That's who we're thinking of when we have these designs. So the designer and the project team do, in general, work very well. But there'd always be a little bit of tension there, but it's healthy.
That's good. And I guess especially with the designers being artistic people, sometimes they can take it a little bit, probably, I guess, personal, probably.
Well, we try to avoid that. We just try to keep it all positive, but certainly what we want to do again is just get that right design for the program, for the investor to collect and collector to love. So that's we aim to get everyone across the line happy with the design so that our collectors and investors are happy.
Well, while we're still at the topic of behind the scenes, I guess, can you talk us through how do you guys choose a designer? You've mentioned that the Year of the Snake was one designer. Now, for the horse, it was Ing designing, who is probably one of the most experienced. Well, actually, the whole design team. They're a very experienced bunch of people and very talented as well. I think Wade, Ing, Alicia, Natasha, they all been there 10 plus, 15 plus years. Jen, yes, of course. 10 plus.
Alicia.
10 or 15 plus years, yes. So how does the designer get chosen for a particular, not necessarily for the Lunar, but just in general, because you guys produce so many products? Do you choose it based on, I don't know, if it's the designer chooses it, or you as a manager says, no, this is, or the team says, no, that's the best designer for this job? How exactly the process goes?
Look, it's a combination of ways. It depends on workload. It can depend on sometimes a distributor has come up with a project with us and wants a particular designer. It can depend on the project manager thinking one designer may be stronger in this sort of field than another. But at the end of the day, all our designers are fantastic, and there's a lot of long tenure within that team, as you just mentioned. They're all very good at working within the system, and whatever it may be, they're just great at delivering the result. So workload's probably the first one I'd say is how we actually deliver the projects to different designers.
Fair. Well, this one is might seem a bit controversial question. From your personal, because like you said, it's a team effort at the Mint. But from your personal point of view, because obviously every person will have their preferences in terms of the designs, was there any design which you really liked, but the team said no, and you still wish that design would go ahead? Is there something like that you can share with us? And if you can, what would be the theme or the design or the coin?
Look, I think at the end of the day, we always come up with a consensus that we move forward with. So we don't take it personally. We just move forward with it. I mean, there's been designs that I kind of look at and think that's going to be interesting to see how it goes in the market. And I can give you an example of that. I was thinking about this recently. We did the Buddha coin a few years ago, and it had a green jade piece, and we weren't sure how that would go on a coin, but it sold out. It went fabulously well. So there are certain times when you go in a little bit unsure about things, but you have to trial and error sometimes, and that's the way we look at it. Well, the idea is to delight our investors, collectors as much as we can. And we know sometimes we're going to maybe release something that may seem a little bit polarizing to some, like the Buddha coin, but we had enough collectors out there to buy it and absolutely loved it. We got great feedback.
Oh, that's fantastic. The reason why I'm asking is from my time at the Mint, I still regret that we never got the zombie coin out. I reckon that would have been. And you, at that time when we were thinking about it, the Walking Dead series was pretty big.
Yeah.
So I still wish, 10 years later, I still wish that we would have, done that license and would have done the zombie coin. I think that would have been really cool on the coin.
Yeah, look, we've had a couple of chats behind the scenes in our product development team over a couple of license projects that, we got pretty far down the track with, and then we pulled out. We really evaluated, did it fit with our brand? And licensed products can sound a little bit odd. Does it fit with your brand? Because it is a licensed product. But there's a couple there that we have pulled the pin on. The Walking Dead was one we did a lot of talking about and felt it didn't quite fit. And we recently pulled out of another one. We just felt there was just a bit too much media interest around this license where we felt that's not going to fit with us.
Can I ask you which one?
No.
I knew you were going to say no.
So, at times we have to temper that and go, no, let's just move on to the next project. We have lots to do. We just move on.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Well, talking about the licensed products, let's move, I guess I'll focus a little bit from behind the scene. Well, it's still behind the scene because in the end of the day, that's how everything got chosen. But I guess my question to you is, where do you see the future of coin collecting? Obviously, like we said, it's very conservative bunch of people, and lots of people collect things like kookaburra, koalas, like Australiana themes, animals, whatever.
Yeah.
But licensing, for example, has been extremely popular, probably for the last 10 to 12 years, and Perth Mint was one of the pioneers of the licensing scenery, because from memory, I think Perth Mint probably was either first or one of the first big mints who created licensed products. I think from memory, was it Barbie
coin, yeah.
2008, 2010 or something like that. And they did fantastically well. I remember selling 5,000, 4,000 pieces to Russia, and everyone at the Mint was extremely surprised that Russians would buy Barbie coins. But I guess my question is, where do you see the industry going in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see any big trends like licensing has been for the last decade? Do you see any big trends coming in the future or in the near future?
Yeah, I think licensing is an interesting one. I think we need to be careful that we don't overdo it. I think it is still a good way to attract new collectors into the market, and that's what we need to be doing as an industry. We really need to be focusing on attracting new collectors. So again, what I mentioned before, I think we're going to see some smaller fractional coins in both gold and silver, just trying to attract new collectors. We go to the coin shows, the Berlin World Money Fair, we go to the Perth Coin Show. And you see people of all ages come in, and they just absolutely, the delight on their face when they actually hold the coin when they've bought it. They just absolutely fall in love with these pieces. That's what we want to be doing. And I'm not saying it's not easy, but we have to be finding those people in the future. And that's what we have to do as a whole industry. It's the mints, it's companies like yourselves, and other distributors. We do need to work together to always be making sure we've got coin collecting top of mind out there and increasing those collectors and investors.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, and I think it's the biggest challenge for the industry, really. Getting the new generation into coin collecting or coin investing, and it's, I guess, vital for the industry because, well, let's be honest, unfortunately, all the collectors are dying, and even at the coin company, we're getting emails daily. Oh, my granddad or my grandma passed away and I have this coin collection. I have no interest, where do I sell it? How do I sell it? So obviously we would like to get the new people coming into the industry. And that's where that leads, I guess, to my next question. With the new generation, millennials and Generation X, what do you think is different about them in terms of what they're looking in a coin, besides what you mentioned is affordability? Is there anything else they look different into coin collecting comparing to the older generation? Is it better packaging? Is it smaller mintage? Is it new technology? Any difference?
Yeah, I think we're still looking into some of the trends of the younger collectors. I mean, things like sustainability, for example, could come into it.
Yeah.
And that's something we're working on very strongly at the Perth Mint. Certainly, having a daughter at 22 and 25, they're always talking about, sustainability. It's a very different mindset. And I think that's going to be very big. So is that packaging sustainable? Where did that metal come from? I think these are going to be questions that's in their mind. I think you may not get the kangaroo buyer year on year. It's going to be, wow, just love that design, bang, buying that one-off sort of thing. That's what could happen. But again, to me, it's about the industry having to work together to promote this. That's why we try to get to the Australian shows, why we attend the Berlin show, the American show. We have to be out there. The Beijing show is another one. And really trying to entice new collectors in. And it's not going to be easy. But again, as an industry, we have to make sure we're all focused on trying to do it.
Fair. And while we're again on the topic of a new, I guess, collector base, to you guys, I know that obviously Perth Mint is super strong in Australia, has a very strong presence in US and Europe. What about emerging markets? Are you guys exploring opportunities into entering something like South America, for example, or Southeast Asia, those sort of emerging, South Africa, those emerging countries, which obviously show massive growth? There is obviously enough, I guess, to some extent, people who would have enough disposable capital to spend their money on coins. Mm-hmm. What is your approach towards those new regions?
Okay, well, for a start, we have to take into account country risk levels before we can enter any new countries. And that's just what we have to do to make sure we're in line with our AML KYC requirements. So, for example, Southeast Asia, I think, is the biggest opportunity for us as a mint. We're in the same time zone. Freighting is a lot easier. If you took South America, that's a lot more difficult because the risk factors are a lot higher within a lot of those countries as opposed to some of the Southeast Asian countries. So the other region we're still looking at is the Gulf. We still don't have a large presence in the Gulf, and it's not a big collector market, but we have noticed a few distributors set up there, and they are starting to sell coins. So we believe that's an opportunity. So we still believe there's emerging markets that can be targeted, but we have to do it with the right risk profile and make sure we're ticking all the right boxes before we can go into those markets.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I guess being a government mint comes with It's advantages,
Absolutely.
but also responsibilities as well.
Absolutely. And there's very different responsibilities for numismatic coins versus the bullion coins, because the bullion is where the AML, KYC and the real risk factor comes in. So that's where we need to be very careful with any new emerging markets. We've got a strong risk team on board these days, and we're always talking to them about new markets before we even enter, just to see, one, can we do it? Two, what customers they'd be happy for us to do it with, if any. So, before we even go there, we're dealing with our risk team.
Fair. That's fair enough. Well, I guess my other question would be, based on your massive experience in the industry, for somebody who is new into coin collecting and hopefully watching our podcast, hopefully it's entertaining enough for them to watch it, what would be your advice to somebody who's new to coin collecting? How would you start coin collection in 2025?
I've got a very simple theory on it. It's buy what you love. It's just that when you open that box and you get a smile on your face because you've opened this coin and it just makes you happy, that's what I suggest you be doing for coin collecting. From there, you can then look at how you want to collect, whether it be circulating coins, whether it be precious metals. There's all sorts of ways to get into it, but my advice is just love it. Just absolutely love the piece you're looking for. And then I think what collectors do love is looking for that next piece. That's what a collector does. They're going, what's next?
That's a part of the excitement.
Exactly.
Isn't it? It's not just holding the coin, but actually waiting for it.
Yep.
Waiting for it, and then when it comes out, you purchase it. Makes it triple exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a great advice, Neil. That's a really good advice. And I think, to anyone who's looking to start the new collection, just find what you like, whatever, can it be a license, whatever theme, animals, whatever, and just buy it. And as soon as you get enjoyment from it, that's what matters, right?
That's it.
And guys, it is time to reveal the most exciting, in my opinion, the most exciting release by the Perth Mint every year, the new Year of the Horse series design. The thing is, with the Perth Mint, when they do the design, they do two different designs, one for silver and one for gold. And the silver one, Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, always features two animals.
Yes.
And the gold one always features a single animal. So these are brand new Lunar Series 3 Year of the Horse designs for 2026. And look, in my opinion, they look absolutely fantastic. So great job, guys. Well done. Congratulations. And I think it's going to be an absolute success. I'm actually, to be honest, I'm looking forward to the 1 ounce silver high relief. I think those two horses are going to look absolutely smashing on that high relief coin. Well, Neil, that's all I have for you. Thank you for joining us. Now, a bit of a giveaway time on our channel. That's what we usually do. So basically what we offer to our subscribers and to our viewers for sticking to us and watching our podcast, you have a chance to win a 1 ounce, brand new 1 ounce silver Bullion Year of the Horse Lunar coin from the Perth Mint. To do that, very simple. All you need to do is like the video you just watched, subscribe to our YouTube channel. In the comments, leave a comment which Lunar design is your favorite out of all three Lunar series from the Perth Mint. And also please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. There are a lot of entertaining content there. And we will announce the winner on the 7th of September. So stay tuned. And as always, if you did enjoy our podcast, please like this video and please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Neil.
Thanks, Andre.
You don't mind me bringing that zombie theme out?
Oh, God, I can't believe you're still talking about it.
I still can't get over it, mate. I still reckon it would have been a super cool coin.